Today, we get to dive into one of the biggest mistakes I made as a new leader and how you can avoid it. Welcome. If you've never been here before, I'm Jody Haar, Leadership and Management Coach. This is Velocity Leadership. Before we get started, I want you to go ahead and hit subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest content. And if at any point you find value in today's video, go ahead and drop a like. It does help out the channel. Like I mentioned, I'm going to share one of the biggest mistakes I made starting out in leadership. So watch all the way to the end so you can learn what that mistake was and how you can avoid it yourself. So I want you to picture this. I walk into my office every morning and I've got a line of people standing outside my door waiting for me to answer their questions or solve their problems. And then throughout the day, I have this same group of people constantly calling me to solve more problems and answer more questions. Does this sound familiar to you? Now, I thought that I was always supposed to have the answer for everything. I thought that was my job. It was my job to always be able to answer any question that the team had right away. And it made me feel good that I could do it. I mean, I had the ability to fire off questions or fire off answers to questions super fast, but it caused some issues and it turned out to be a huge mistake on my part. And you may ask, how can having all the answers be a huge mistake? And you're right, having the answers was not my mistake. My mistake was that I always gave them the answer. I had created a culture within the office that everyone now came to me because they knew I'd give them the answer. They didn't have to look for it themselves. They didn't have to try to figure out what the answer was. They would just come to me and I'd answer it and move on. And I had unknowingly become their crutch. This culture that I had created robbed my team of knowledge and confidence. It absolutely stole my time. I literally spent half of my day answering questions from other people that I know they should have been able to answer on their own. I had zero time to do anything else but deal with the issues and the questions that my team had that they should have been able to take care of. But I did get lucky. I had someone that I was working with that was very wise, finally opened my eyes to what was happening. He told me I had to stop this. He said, if you want a high-performing team, you have to stop being an enabler. I didn't quite wrap my head around what he was telling me at the time, and it didn't sink in. It took a couple of weeks worth of discussions before I truly started to understand what he was telling me. And I needed my team to be able to start to figure things out on their own and answer their own questions. And I had become this bottleneck within the office that was preventing the business from running and preventing their growth because they were coming to me for everything and I was slowing the process down and I didn't even realize it. To build the team that I wanted to, I realized that I had to make a change. They needed the knowledge, the confidence, and the freedom to make decisions on their own. So we came up with a solution. Each question now comes with some work. I no longer just give answers and move on. We discuss the issue and possible solutions, and then we come up with a solution that best fits that particular question or that particular problem. Now, we'll go through this a few times, but once they figure out the process and how I come to my conclusions, now they're able to make decisions on their own. Now, they're not always perfect, and they're not going to be, but at least they made a decision. And if it could have been a better decision or a different outcome would have been desired, we can go through that later and we can walk through it. Now they've learned and they can make a better decision next time. And now for me, this has been super powerful for the growth of my team. The line at my door and the ringing phone has gone to almost zero. My stress level is way down and now I can focus on building my team and growing my business like I'm supposed to. And this realization changed my entire philosophy about being a leader and what leadership truly is. Now this is the first thing I go over when I'm training any new leader or working with any new manager. I want them to understand that if you want a high-performing team that's self-sufficient, you have to go through this process. It takes some time up front, some initial investment to get good at it, but the payoff just lasts forever. You now have a team that can function effectively on their own because you've trained them and you've coached them on how to solve problems without you being there. So if that was my big mistake, what I'd like you to do is drop in the comments, tell me what your biggest mistake was and how you were able to overcome it. I'm really interested to hear what your mistakes were and what your outcomes finally were. Hey everyone, I want to share some really exciting news. I'm going to be running the Time Management for Leaders workshop in a few weeks. Now, if you want to build $1 million routine or really ramp up your productivity, you need to go to vldsecrets.com right now and get on the list. The link is in the description below. And just for joining the list, I'm going to give you my free 30-day map to success. This is a super powerful mind map that I have been using for years. Now, spots are limited, so go ahead and get on the list now. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.